Paul Lonsdale is a permanent, well, not permanent, he's a general apology for this period. Okay, so this is public participation item Standing Order 3.19, deputations by appointment. And could I invite Don Whelan to come forward, please? Thank you.
I'll try to avoid hitting you with the material that I provided last time, pictures and documentation when I spoke in favour of the retention of the hall, but just table that in case anybody would like to refresh their memories. Mm-hmm. I bring with me today very strong endorsement for the idea of restoring the venue, particularly from three representative groups. The first comment is from Richard Osman. I've been asked to speak on behalf of these people who are tied up with school commitments. They're practising teachers such as Richard Osman, who is Deputy Principal of Elmwood Primary School, often involved in using the hall. He writes, and I'll try to summarise because I realise time is important for us all. As President of the Christchurch Schools Music Festival Association, I write in support of the Deloitte's paper recommending the restoration of the Christchurch Town Hall. The Schools Music Festival Association was established in 1939 by a group of primary school music teachers. Between 1974 to 2010, staged the music festival in the town hall. Over a 6-night festival season, 4,500 Year 5-8 students performed in their families, often to packed houses in the 2,000-seat auditorium. Schools Music Festival aims to provide children in the mass choirs with enjoyable experience of choral music performed at highest possible standard, exposure to a wide range of styles, choral training, well-produced tone, development of personal responsibility and self-discipline required for musical performance. Since the 2011 earthquake, Music Festival has been held in the Horncastle Arena. While it's been good to be able to keep the festival operating, continue to provide a forum for concerted music making by primary school children on a large scale, the venue has severely compromised the ability of the association to meet its aims. Quality of experience greatly diminished as the sports stadium's acoustic properties are most unsympathetic towards performances of traditional vocal and instrumental music. The audience to be able to hear and see all groups must be amplified and live streamed. This has led to significant increases in the production costs, about $45,000 of staging the festival. Long term, without considerable generous financial support from sponsors, festival will not remain financially viable, this venue. Aesthetic experience greatly diminished, amplified sound system and unsatisfactory. Choir children hear garbled versions, listening to group performances subjected to double versions of announcements made through public address system, no joy through hearing the sound bounce back off the back wall, production of head tone difficult to encourage. I'm trying to summarise because of shortness of time. I hope people realise the speed reading exercises to save your time. I urge the Christchurch City Council in the strongest terms to approve the restoration of the Town Hall Auditorium so that the children of Christchurch may once again enjoy the thrill of concerted music making in one of the finest acoustics created by people. Yours sincerely, Richard Osman, President of the Christchurch Schools Music Festival Association. So I'm tabling that as point number one. Excuse me. Next representation comes from Paul Ellis, who was involved in many ways in that. Paul is currently working in a primary school, but was for a number of years Director of Music at Christ College Secondary School. He says, I have been involved in the Town Hall as a music critic, associate conductor and senior representative choir director for the Christchurch Schools Music Festival for 13 years. I have also been involved in graduation ceremonies and school prize-giving presentations and concerts. At least one of these concerts was attended and appreciated by a presiding city councillor. Participants would no doubt have been blown away by the atmosphere, the ambience and the venue. To replicate otherwise would be a hard ask. Christchurch needs the cultural security and assurance of what has been so successful as a venue, socially and musically in the past, for the existing to be reinstated. Paul Ellis, etc. My last representation on behalf of is from the secondary music teachers of Christchurch. Their president is Dave Pitt, who is head of music at Papanui High School. Again, he sends his apologies for not being able to be here in person because of his teaching commitments, but asked me to table this on behalf of all the secondary school music teachers of the Christchurch, Canterbury and Westland area. The Canterbury and Westland Music Teachers Association is a strong group of dedicated and talented music teachers who are committed to the educational needs of music students across the South Island. This association provides professional development and support for all music teachers in Canterbury and Westland. CWSMTA supports the view that the Town Hall should be fully restored. Events like the Orchestral Festival and the Big Sing in particular have not been able to continue in their previously highly successful format because of there being no venue large enough, affordable, Horncastle Arena too big, and way too expensive on limited budgets, and acoustically suitable. This has had an impact on the numbers of schools able to be involved and is stopping any further development of these highly successful events. In addition, several schools have used the Town Hall for prize givings and would return there if the venue was restored. As one of the top 10 acoustically pleasing concert halls in the world, we believe that it is vital that the Town Hall is fully restored so that it may continue to be the, quote, jewel in the crown, unquote, of large performance venues in Christchurch. The vibrant cultural life of our city has been severely impacted by the loss of the Town Hall and deserves to have this venue restored so that the arts may continue to grow and develop. We also need to be able to continue to attract top international artists to Christchurch, and without a suitable venue, this is really difficult. Thank you for your time on this matter. Dave Pitt, Canterbury Western Music Teachers Association Chair, Head of Music, Papanui High School. Those are the three submissions I brought to you from other people. May I just also make a brief comment on the value of having more facilities beyond the auditorium for the presentation of events. While for the 20 plus years that I coordinated the Big Sing with 35 choirs from all the schools of our city and further afield, we had to use every possible space. We had to use the Samoan room above the auditorium. We had to use the, obviously the green room out the back, but we also had to overflow into the Cambridge room and the various other conference rooms behind and above and around the James Hay. Because with 35 choirs going through in succession, those folk have to be able to rehearse separately, have spaces of their own. And with a cultural festival, and let's have lots more cultural festivals now that we've become an even more multicultural city, these groups, many groups of this kind, need more spaces to perform to. I would also very strongly endorse the value of the James Hay being redeveloped as an musically acoustically redeveloped venue. My personal view is that there is, looking at the report, some very exciting possibilities. I've heard from experience in places like Manchester and Bridgewater, new performance halls. Singapore, I was recently in the new Singapore Concert Hall. Many of these places have acoustic, variable acoustics. Singapore, you push a button and sliding panels move and things around the roof move and either curtains come out to deaden the acoustic, or they go away and reflective panels come out and suddenly you've got a very live acoustic. You simply dial up whatever you want. Large hall, bedroom.
Don't know about the latter.
So all power to your elbows, and thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning.
Please stay, please stay. There's time for questions. Ali?
Yes. I just wanted to know, you mentioned all spaces being used, you just said at the very end there.
Yes.
How many other events, in your opinion or your knowledge, would you know of that would require the same number of spaces to be used, that every space in the Town Hall complex would have to be used?
I can't speak for any other groups really than the school groups that I'm associated with, where there is huge pressure for more and more rooms.
But what I'm trying to get to is that what you're suggesting with the overflow and all spaces would be exceptional. It would be exceptional that every space in the Town Hall would be required if linked to a main event in the auditorium.
Well, for one main event, but of course the whole point about the Town Hall was that because it had a number of facilities, a number of auditoria, it was what always seemed to happen was that there was another event maximising the use of the facilities, and maybe if the James Hay is booked for something, then other rooms can be used and vice versa. So I think the great advantage of having these two large auditoriums, one 2,000 plus, one 1,000 plus, as the report argues, is that this provides an essential facility for our city for all sorts of groups to hire. Large, the comment made that not every seat might be taken. Well, I think it would be very dangerous if every seat was taken in either of those auditoriums. It would probably prove that the auditoriums were too small. It's always good to have a few spare spaces.
Okay,
I don't think the report's suggesting that the James Hay remain 1,000 seats seated.
I can't tell them the fine print of that.
500 to 600 seated and 1,000 standing flexible sites.
I would suggest that some further research needs to be done there. I believe that there could be a lot of. I saw reference there to seats that can be brought in and changed and all sorts of internal configurations. I would have thought with a bit of imagination. But sound being the important issue, transfer between spaces is terribly important.
Jimmy.
One question, based on deputation, it looks like you particularly emphasize repair the auditorium as well as James High. But regarding to the council information, they have different options. So which option the propose repair all, not only the auditorium James High, but also consider like a foyer or like a Cambridge, Bolter's room and the limestone room, or just James High and the auditorium? Can you specify clearly?
I can't speak for others. All I can give is my personal opinion that I believe that the restoration of all the facilities as originally designed provides the very best option for our city, and I believe that's endorsed in the report.
Sorry, I will allow Phil to ask a final question.
Thank you. Don, can you just perhaps describe what your view is of the standard of the acoustics for the main auditorium?
I think they're very good. I've been in no hall where I've been completely satisfied. And how many of us can ever look for satisfaction about any experience that we've had? But I mean, relatively speaking, I think we're extraordinarily lucky. And remember that this hall was a trailblazing experiment in design for the first time. The only other comparison I can, and I think Sir Miles will speak to this himself, but his model, as I understand it, was the Royal Albert Hall in London, where you have that wraparound opportunity for lots of people. It's an amphitheatre kind of concept that everybody is close to the action, whether it's Lions and Christians, or in this case it's the Christchurch Symphony, we're all sharing the action. And the problem with that, as he himself I'm sure will eloquently explain, is that then you've got a nightmarish acoustic. You've got sound bouncing everywhere. They spent a long time in the Albert Hall trying to fix it. Eventually they've hung those balloon things above the stage, as we had to do here. When I played the organ for the they brought an organ down from Christchurch, I played it for the first Messiah. I was sitting here with the pipe organ, the cellist, Francis de Goldi, was sitting here. We could not hear each other. We could not hear each other. So they abandoned the things up, big pretty things that were put in at the beginning, and put the donut in, so that the sound goes up and bounces back. So it has been tweaked, but that is, I think, a wonderful endorsement of the fact that this was the first. And if you look at the books on architecture, you will find that this is lauded as the first opportunity to provide a combination of close involvement for an audience and an acoustic which is as good as you can possibly get. Because, of course, what they've done is transform a circular building into the traditional horseshoe acoustic shape by putting baffles in at various areas. And that was what Marshall and Day, acousticians, achieved. So nothing's ever perfect in this world, but I think we're extremely lucky to have a remarkable closeness for the audience and as good an acoustic as you could ever get.
Well, I'm glad I allowed that last question. That's very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you.